In this video, we're going to talk about the law of cosines. We're going to use the law of cosines to solve triangles when we're given information like a side angle side or a side 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 case. Okay, and this was in the beginning of this section as well. It gets called the triangle inequality. It says, in any triangle, the sum of any two sides must be greater than the length of the remaining side. So that's another thing that we could check and make sure that we've got a legitimate answer. Lengths and angles that would actually generate a triangle. Okay, the law of cosines looks like, and we could flip the signs all around, if the sides all around if we like. Angle C is the angle between sides A and B, and side C would be the side across from this angle. Okay, so it looks like C squared is equal to A squared plus B squared minus 2 times A times B times the cosine of C. Okay, and I just put some notes here, right, that here's a generic triangle that we're going to use just to give us a visual, but angle C, right, is between sides A and B. And so the law of cosines really only works when that's true, right, when I have an angle in between the two sides. If angle C is 90 degrees, cosine of 90 degrees is 0. So then that reduces basically to the Pythagorean theorem. Remember, the Pythagorean theorem only applies to right triangles, so that kind of makes sense. All right, well, I just have a couple examples to help you try this out. And then I'm sure you'll have more problems and other assignments that you can use to practice this with as well. So in this one, we have angle B is 55 degrees. Side A is 90. Side C is 100. Okay, so this time the formula is really going to look like, we're sort of switching roles here. So I have the cosine of B. So I'm going to start with B squared, the side opposite. That's going to be equal to A squared plus C squared minus 2AC times the cosine of angle B. I didn't write out all three versions of this law of cosines, but you can find them in your book. It's really based on this idea that the angle is between the two sides. Okay, so let's plug all of this in. So to find side B, we've got A squared, so 90 squared plus 100 squared minus 2 times 90 times 100 times the cosine of 55. Okay, so we could definitely use a calculator, and you're welcome to pull that out. Some of these you might be able to do in your head. 90 squared would be 8100. 100 squared should be 10,000. 4 zeros, right? Minus 18,000 times the cosine of 55. Okay, so altogether, if I add these up, this is 18,100 minus 18,000 times the cosine of 55 is 0.5735, we'll say, for now. Okay, I'm just going to leave that actually in my calculator without rounding it and multiply times 18,000 and then add 18,100 to that. And I'm going to get b squared is equal to, I've got 7775.62. If I take the square root of that number, looks like b is going to be 88. I got 88.179. But in this one, it looks like, I'm not sure if that's meant to be one significant digit or two. I'm going to go with two, okay? So I'm going to round this to 88. It may or may not be correct, but I'm going to do that. It's one significant digit for the sides, but two for the angles, so maybe better off to round it to 90, but I'm not going to do that quite yet. Okay, so we've gotten the third side, so we now have all three sides. We used the law of cosines to get that, but we're missing the two angles, so we need to use the law of sines to find those. Right, so let's find, how about angle A? So to find angle A, I'm going to use the law of sines, and now I have an angle side pair, right? So I'm going to do the sine of 55 degrees over 88 is equal to the sine of angle A over 90. So we've got 90 times the sine of 55. So let's put that into our calculator. So I'm going to get 0.8378. So now I'm going to do the sine inverse. Remember, second negative key will allow you to not have to round. So I got angle A to be, I'm going to round this to 57 degrees. All right, the only thing left is angle C. So I'm going to use the law of sines one more time. So now I've got the sine of 55 over 88 is the sine of angle C this time over 100. I'm going to put this into my calculator. So I've got 0.9309. Now I'm going to take the inverse sine. That's going to give me, and again, we're going to round to two digits, so that's going to give me 69 degrees. All right. So there you have it. Anytime we have this side angle side, right, where the angle is in between the two sides, that's a good opportunity to use the law of cosines. Okay, let's look at one more together. this one, we're given all three sides. So we have side A is 9.3, side B is 5.7, and side 3 is 8.2. So we have all three sides. Now we need to find all three angles. So the law of cosines will help us do that, right? I'm just going to use the one we had originally printed before. So this is the one I have committed to memory. Okay, so let's plug in these values. So 8.2 squared is equal to 9.3 squared plus 5.7 squared minus 2 times 9.3 times 5.7 times the cosine of angle C. And really what we're trying to find is angle C. Okay, so let's put some of this into our calculator. So that's 67.24. 86.49. And 32.49. Minus 106.02 times the cosine of C. So this gives us 118.98. I'm going to subtract this over to the other side. That gives me negative 51.74. And then I'm going to divide by this 106 number. That's going to give me 0.4880. Okay, so now I could do the inverse cosine. That's going to give me 60.7 degrees. This time we're doing 2 significant digits, it looks like. So I'm going to go with 61. Okay, so we used 2 sides, and actually we used all 3 sides, and that allowed us to find the angle in between A and B, right, which would be angle C. All right, so now we have an angle side pair, we can use the law of sines to find the remaining angles, right? So the next step, how about we find angle A? So I have angle C and side C, so I can do the sine of 61 degrees over 8.2. So if I want to find angle A, that's going to be equal to the sine of angle A over 9.3. And I could multiply this 9.3 over to the other side. inverse sine. And we're going to do two significant digits. So we're going to say 83 degrees. Okay. One more angle left. I think we probably could have done this on the last one, and I just wasn't thinking. Right? All the angles add up to 180, so I don't really need to do the law of sines again. I can just add these up, right? I didn't think of that last time. We're missing angle B. So this would be 144. And if I subtract that over, it's going to give me 36 degrees. Okay, wouldn't be a bad idea to check, right? B is the smallest angle. Is side B the smallest side? Yes, that's good. The next biggest would be angle C. And the next biggest side is side C. And then the largest angle is angle A. And the longest side is side A. So I think we did good. All right, well, I hope that gives you a good feel for how to solve a triangle. Right? We've kind of looked at all the tools now, both the law of sines in previous videos and then the law of cosines in this video. Good luck practicing this, and we'll see you in the next video.